It's a beautiful morning. I hope you're enjoying the joy of Jesus. No matter what you're going through, life has this rhythm of joy and suffering, suffering and joy. So chase joy. Jesus is joy. Well, today's sign in John's gospel, I know you've been reading along and we're not necessarily in John 9 now, we're way ahead, but I've been focusing on the signs because everything about reading God's word is seeing Jesus. And ironically, John's gospel, chapter 9, we are called to see Jesus through the eyes of a blind man. That's right. It's the story of Jesus healing a blind man, and it's an unorthodox way, like Steph Curry's threes. Oh, brutal that the last game won, but I have faith. Anybody? I mean, I was born in Boston. I have the seal of the Commonwealth on my birth certificate, and I'm not cheering on Boston. I just got to go for the kid that looks like he's 12 still, and he's anyway. So he sees the blind man. He says, "Do you want to be healed?" Basically interacts with the dirt, spits a loogie in there, and rubs it on the blind man's eyes. And you got to think the blind guy's like, whatever, I'll do any alternative medicine. I'll travel to wherever the laws allow for weird. I just trust. And sure enough, he is healed. He's able to see. Well, long story short, in the whole story, you have the religious leaders that come at him and it's like, surely you were blind because of some error in your ways. Your life had sin, or was it your mom that sinned or your dad that sinned? That was a common view back in the day, and some people might even think that today. Or we often think like, why God, I've been good. How can bad things be happening to good people like me, right? It's not that relationship. It's not that association. Jesus is calling us through this sign of healing the blind man to see Jesus in a new way, to see others in a new way. Well, the religious leaders, they're like, we can't believe he was actually blind. There's no way that he can see. It can't be a miracle. Let's get his parents in here. They even confronted the blind guy himself. He's like, look, all I know is I was blind and now I can see. And I love that approach. They get the parents like, was he really born blind? Like, what are you doing, religious leaders? Sometimes I'm a religious leader, right? We can say and do the dumbest things when the evidence is right in front of our eyes. You see, don't you, the irony of the blind guy seeing Jesus and seeing what God is doing in his life when the religious leaders couldn't see Jesus? They didn't want to see Jesus. Even the people in the context of the story were like, wasn't that the guy on that corner? No, that was the guy at that corner. Was he down on the plaza or 119th and I-35? So culturally relevant that people feel unseen today. May we see the forgotten, the neglected, the marginalized, because that's when we see Jesus. Well, the religious leaders are just beside themselves. Like, we still can't handle this. We gotta kick him out of the community. Not just like, hey, you need to move to a different church. We all like to church hop, right? When somebody doesn't feel good, we like to move to a different place. No, they excommunicated him. Are you kidding me? Nobody does that anymore. And it's actually a biblical thing. That's a whole nother video. But he's excommunicated, like they formally excommunicate him. What is happening? The religious leaders like, here's what we know. Moses, we know. We have certainty about God through what Moses did. But this Jesus, we don't even know where he's from. Like, show me your birth certificate. Well, Jesus is blowing our minds and opening up our eyes to see him and see others in the world differently through God's eyes. You see the vision of unbelief to belief. That's the story of this blind man. And he goes not with the blind faith of like, Peter, get out of the boat and walk toward me. Yes, those are moments and expressions of faith. Those are signs of Jesus. But in this situation, the sign of Jesus is good friends and sound advice and a life transformed. Someone saying, hey, you should change your course. Hey, I'm seeing this in you. Lovingly, this ought to change because you're not bringing flourishing to your life and others. Evidence-based. That's what faith is, trusting that God will do the work to change us. And in the blind man, that's what we see. So, may you see Jesus May you gaze upon his beauty and glory, whether it's the beautiful day like today or whatever you're going through in life. See Jesus and trust that he will transform your view of others, your view of God. You don't have to be stuck in some certain view of God, which actually causes you to miss seeing God. We have faith. We trust in Jesus, who lived, died, and rose again, so that we can live life to the fullest. I love you, church. I look forward to seeing you Sunday. God bless.